Alright guys, here we go with the May 14th submitted assignment, all graphing. I mean, obviously you guys saw that. You did it on Friday, and today is hopefully Monday when you're watching this video. So 6 questions of graphing. The first 2 you would have noticed as slope-intercept form. The second one, half of it's in standard form. The other one is a special line we'll talk about. Number 4 standard form, 5 and 6 point slope form. So we'll work through all 6 of those. And again, you can skip through this video if you only want to watch certain questions. I would imagine most people have done really well with the first 2 questions. So I'll kind of explain it again, but you guys have seen the videos, you know what's going on. There's my y-intercept, okay? And your y-intercept is definitely where you want to start. And then you have your slope, and you would go from there. So my slope is a -1. So you just start with your y-intercept. Slope of -1 means I should go down 1 to the right 1. Some people do like to, for solving systems of equations, they do like to make points all the way across their graph. I would say make a couple more than usual, but you don't necessarily have to if you can find out where they're going to intersect nicely. And in fact, with this one, you really get to see when I make my second line that also starts at 1 and has a slope of up 3 to the right 1 or down 3 to the left 1, you already know where they're going to intersect. That the y-intercept, they both have the same y-intercept. That's where they're intersecting at. So go ahead, and you might not have a ruler. Do whatever you can to do your best at making straight lines. And when you do, you would see that that's my intersection point. And you should always write what that is. So that's the point 0, 1. It doesn't go anywhere left and right, and it only goes up 1 value. All right, number 2. Again, also in slope-intercept form. Start with the y-intercept, +5. The slope of -3/4 means I need to go down 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Down 3 to the right 4. The second line has a y-intercept of a -4. So I'm going to start down there, and has a slope of up 3 to the right 2. So I need to go up 3 to the right 2. Up 3 to the right 2. You can see where they're going to intersect. You make your lines. I didn't go with a ruler that time just to save us some time. My videos have been kind of long in the past. So that would be the point 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Up 2, 4, 2. Alright, moving on to number 3. Like I said, we've got one line in standard form, the other one only in x. That is a vertical line. You go to where x is 1, make a vertical line. So you know the intersection should have an x value of 1 unless these lines don't intersect. But the only way they're not going to intersect, if this was only an x equals, it's not. This is in standard form. 2 ways to do this. Remember, you could do all the work and put that in slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b. I'm not a big fan of that, especially if you recognize those 2 numbers go into 9. So when a and b, remember standard form ax plus by equals c. When a and b, when c is a multiple of a and b, I wanted to make sure I said that correctly. When c is a multiple of a and b, 9 is a multiple of 3 and 3. Then I think doing the shortcut is so much easier. The x-intercept would be when you have an x value and when y is 0. So if y is 0, you can cover that up, right? X would have to be a -3 because a +3 times a -3 gives you that -9. the y-intercept, we would let x be 0. Negative 3 times by a positive 3 gives you a negative 9. So, x-intercept negative 3, 0. Y-intercept 0, 3. So, you know that this line has a slope of 1. You can see where they intersect. Clearly, like I said, we would have an x value of 1 because of that vertical line. And then it's up 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1, 4. All right, last one. Here's where, okay, this is what I was talking about. And here's where I think you need to have all of your techniques because of when you do a question like this. C is not a multiple of A or B. I'm doing this the long way, okay? I don't want to find the x and y intercepts because they are most likely fractions. So I'm going to do subtract 3x. Divide by the negative 2. I'm going to get y by itself. A negative over a negative is a positive. Minus 5 over 2. And then if you look at this line is a little bit easier. Just subtract the 2x. So I'm actually going to start with that one because that one's pretty easy. Y-intercept is 1, down 2 to the right 1, down 2 to the right 1, or up 2 to the left 1. And you draw your line. Now, that first line gave us some weird fractions. So we are going to be at a slight disadvantage here. We're going to have to do our best. Negative 5 over 2 is at least a nice decimal, okay? It is negative 2.5. So I'm going to start down. So down 2.5. Now my slope of 3 over 2 means I would go up 1 to negative 1.5, up 2 to negative 0.5, up 3 to 0.5, to the right 2, which would put my final point at 2.5. Now the thing is, when you draw those, you see, hopefully, they do actually intersect at a very nice point. 1, negative 1. Now, because of this weird question, you had your fraction and your decimal and you graphed it, it wouldn't be a bad idea to check this answer. Simply plug in the x value for x and the y for y and see if you get the answer. So if I plug a 1 in here, 2 times 1 is 2, plus a negative 1. 2 plus a negative 1 is 1. So it works for the bottom one. If I plug in a 1, negative 1 up here, 3 times 1 is 3, minus 2 times a negative 1. So be careful here. 2 times a negative 1 is a negative 2. 3 minus a negative 2 is like adding 5 equals 5. So you know you got the right answer. So it was a little challenging at first. You got to just be extra careful with those. You could also graph those on your calculator if you have one. That way you would make sure you have the definitely have the right answer. All right, then, like I had been saying, I think I wrote this in a discussion one day last week. These are, this is my favorite form. Maybe not to graph. Slope-intercept form's pretty easy to graph. But this isn't bad. And then this form is the form that allows you to get all other forms. Okay, this is point-slope form. And again, as long as you figure this out, I think you're good to go. So for number 5, your top line, M, easy to recognize. It's in front of the parentheses. Bottom line, easy to recognize, in front of the parentheses. And then all you need to do is find the point, because you can make any line with a point and a slope. The trick, and I definitely have said this many times, the trick, take the opposite of what you see. I see a positive 4. So my x value is going to be negative 4. I see a positive 1. So my y value is going to be a negative 1. You just take the opposite of what you see. For the bottom line, I see a negative 1, so I'm going to make it a positive 1. I see a negative 2, so that's going to be a positive 2. Graphing these two lines, 0.12 with a slope of 5 over 2. Or I could go down 5 to the left 2. And then the other line has a point at negative 4, negative 1, and a slope of down 2 to the right 3. You can see where they're going to intersect. Draw your lines for the visual. And your answer would be negative 1, negative 3. All right, last one. And again, we're going to try to get through this relatively quick. I don't have to explain as much. You got two lines here. Slope for the first one is a negative 3 over 8. The point would be negative 3 comma 2. Your other line, you have a slope of negative 5. And your point is a 4, 4. So if I go to 4, 4. And then I have a slope of negative 5. So I don't really have room to go up. So I'm going to go down 5 to the right one. My other line, negative 3, 2, and has a slope of down 3 to the right 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You see where it's going. They are going to cross. And that point is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, negative 1. Sorry for the shadows. I'll make sure to make these videos earlier in the day. The nice thing is we actually only have 2 more videos. This is the May 14th submitted assignment. Yeah, we only have 2 more videos. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching.